Hello, and welcome to Geo Pulse USA. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating political journeys in modern American history, a journey that begins in the electric chair and ends at City Hall in New York. It's the story of how America's war on socialism, the same ideology once punished by death, has come full circle. The shadows of 1953. In 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, a married couple living in New York, were executed by electric chair. Their crime? Allegedly passing America's nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Both were government employees, and both were openly socialist. But during that time, the height of the Red Scare, being socialist was almost as dangerous as being a spy. The word red itself had become a symbol of fear. Across the country, propaganda painted socialism as treason. Citizens were interrogated for owning red books or even red wallets. President Harry Truman launched a loyalty program, forcing government employees to sign oaths of allegiance to the United States. Over 5 million federal workers were screened, and hundreds were dismissed without trial. In that climate of paranoia, the Rosenbergs were accused, tried, and executed. Even scientists like Albert Einstein appealed for mercy, but the government refused. Before their execution, Julius and Ethel wrote a final letter to their 2 sons, saying, quote, "Remember, your parents are innocent. We refuse to lie because truth matters more than life itself." End quote. Their deaths symbolize the extreme cost of political fear in America. Hollywood under suspicion. The anti-socialist campaign didn't stop at the courtroom. Hollywood was next. Writers, directors, and actors were dragged before congressional committees and accused of communist sympathies. Among the most famous victims was Charlie Chaplin, who, through his art, criticized greed, war, and inequality. Though he lived and worked in the U.S., he was never granted citizenship. The FBI spied on him for years until he finally left the country. This was how America's Red Scare turned into not just a political purge, but into a cultural one. A long road forward. Decades passed. America changed, but socialism, or even the word itself, remained radioactive. Then, in the 21st century, something unexpected happened. A new generation began rethinking the word socialist. Movements like Occupy Wall Street and leaders like Bernie Sanders helped revive discussions about inequality, healthcare, and workers' rights. Sanders called himself a Democratic Socialist, not a communist, but someone who believed in social reform within democracy. He inspired millions, yet even within his own party, he was sidelined. In 2016 and 2020, despite huge grassroots support, the Democratic establishment stood firmly against him. November 5th, 2025, a turning point. And then came November 5th, 2025. For the first time in decades, a man who proudly identifies as a Democratic Socialist was elected mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. At a time when much of the world is drifting towards the far right, with figures like Donald Trump in the US, Giorgia Meloni in Italy, Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Turkey, and Javier Milei in Argentina, Mamdani's victory has sparked a sense of renewed hope for progressives worldwide. He campaigned not with billionaire donors, but with the voices of working-class citizens, promising affordable housing, better wages, and justice for all. Opponents called him a radical, even an anti-American, yet he won. The revival of an old dream. To understand the magnitude of this, we need to go back further. The idea of left and right in politics came from the French Revolution of 1789, when supporters of the monarchy sat on the right and revolutionaries sat on the left. Later, thinkers like Karl Marx built the foundation of socialism, calling for economic and social equality and an end to exploitation. His works, the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, inspired generations worldwide. By the late 19th century, his ideas had reached America. In 1876, the Socialist Labor Party of America was formed, the first socialist political movement in U.S. history. On May 1, 1886, workers across the country went on strike for an 8-hour workday. In Chicago's Haymarket Square, a peaceful rally turned violent when a bomb was thrown at police officers. The event became a global symbol of labor struggle. But in America, it deepened fear and suspicion towards socialism. Over the next century, 2 Red Scares turned fear into law. Thousands were arrested, blacklisted, and silenced, simply for believing that workers deserved rights. And yet, after all of that, a Democratic Socialist has just been elected to lead America's largest city. A new beginning. Mamdani's victory is not just political, it's symbolic. It shows that the same country which once executed socialists can now elect one democratically. But will this victory revive socialism worldwide? The answer is complicated. Yes, left-wing movements are gaining ground again in countries like Brazil, Chile, and the UK, but the far right is also surging in America, Germany, and Italy. We live in a divided world, polarized between 2 extremes. Mamdani's win might not bring a global socialist revolution, but it does prove one thing. The idea of equality, once buried under fear, is still alive in America. And sometimes, history comes full circle. You're watching Geo Pulse USA, where we connect the past and present, one pulse at a time.